Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New 52 book.
it! Somebody clip this one.
Hello there. Welcome to Comics League Movie Night. I'm your host, Jared, as usual. And today we are talking about the Iron Giant. So let us bring in, so far, the panel member who helped me come across all these sci-fi movies to put on the schedule.
I am Phoenix!
What is up? I'm feeling very iron enriched. This is my attempt to do a
Listen,
big pun.
you don't have to be a gun.
It is fun. but so
I
we're
didn't
talking
know
about the
you were a
Iron Giant,
Transformer.
which this is one of those movies, by the way, where I watched it years ago before I was a comic book fan, and I recently rewatched it for the first time since becoming like a comic book nerd. There's so much here where he starts referencing Superman. He's holding up actual Superman comics.
Yeah. Yes, it's just so crazy. This is a really great movie, directed by Brad Bird, who, if you're familiar with that name, he's a very incredible director.
Exactly.
And by that I mean he directed a small indie project called The Incredibles.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That's one of my favorite superhero movies. And some say that's the best Fantastic Four movie.
To some, it's the only Fantastic Four movie.
For some, it is the only Fantastic Four movie. So this is one of those movies, and I put this in the description of the video, that this does politics well in a project because it doesn't beat you. It doesn't in a very non-hostile way. Nick, do you want to go into more detail on that?
Yeah, so this movie takes place during the 1950s, and it definitely dwells into the politics of the time. And by that, I mean the Red Scare, stuff with communism, and there also is some contemporary stuff, like for example, the pitch of this movie. Hey, mercenary, how you doing?
How you doing, dude? Going to work soon. You saw my Twitter. What was that?
Yeah, I saw your Twitter. Really awesome.
Iron Giant classic. Yes, it is. Go
so
on.
Basically, the entire pitch of this movie, like the log line of this movie, is: what if a gun did not want to be a gun? And I just the premise of this is like really interesting. So Iron Giant is like this big mechanical robot that just lands in the cornfield, the middle of nowhere. And this kid finds him. It's kind of a classic tale, I mean, you got even the
old as time.
Wrong movie. And like it also has kind of like very many like underpinnings, like Rusty and the Big Robot, and also this is kind of also a boy and his dog kind of movie, so it definitely pulls on a lot of those kind of like classic stories, but it does it in a way that kind of does feel very unique and fresh.
Yeah, it does. And that's one of the reasons why I dug it. And the other thing that I want to talk about is kind of funny. I put this in here. This is basically a tribute to Superman as a character. Like the whole movie is the robot wanting to be Superman pretty much, which I just love that.
And then, Mercenary. I actually do get a lot of Don Bluth vibes from this. This was done by Warner Brothers Animation, so but I would not be surprised if they were inspired by a lot of like the Don Bluth stuff, like for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm bringing up some trivia of the project and everything. So just want to put that in there. And by the way, this is also the character that's like that you can, and it's in Nick's thumbnail. You can play as them in multiverses, but you can have like the Superman S that they made out of steel in there. So I think that's really cool. And he's voiced by I Am Groot. We had some other voices brought in, which is like Danny Glover, Robert De Niro, Sean Connery, Frank Walker, and James Earl Jones. We're also considered to do the voice.
Right, and this voice, the voice cast, this is actually pretty stacked. Like the one that jumps out to me was Jennifer Aniston. See, this movie came out in the year 2000, so this is like pre-Fast and Furious for Vin Diesel. But Jennifer Aniston, this is like when she was making $1 million an episode on Friends. Like this was Jennifer Aniston at her peak. Like you got Jennifer Aniston at the very top of her career to do this. That's how big of a get that was at the time.
Yeah, and I noticed it because when I was watching the movie, I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere. So I looked it up, and it's Jennifer Aniston. And I'm plugging up a thing of the voice cast too. But yeah, so we got like Harry Connick Jr. from Will and Grace. He plays Dean. You got Jennifer Aniston, Vin Diesel. Yeah, you also have Shooter McGavin as Kent Maisley. I have to. And in that case, hang on.
He does a really good job.
If I'm talking about Shooter McGavin,
You're gonna die, clown! You think that's funny? I don't hear you laughing now!
by the way, fun fact. So the specific creator of the giant is never revealed. The only hint is when he flies in at the beginning of the movie, but there was a deleted scene that shows all those robots like destroying another world. So that was like the one hint that was like why this robot was sent.
Oh, yeah. So basically the implication is, and this is kind of like he has like a bad dream and it gets broadcast onto television, is these robots are meant to go to a world and like they're supposed to destroy it. Like whether he was sent there by mistake or he's like an advanced scout, we don't know. I would lean towards he got there by mistake because he's probably like very damaged and like his memory circuits might not be doing that well.
I took it that he was supposed to go there, but the crash screwed up his memory.
That could also very well be the case. The point is, we don't know. We do know that he is a machine designed by an alien race, most likely, to take over planets. That is the extent of what we know.
Which, yeah, I mean, and that's really cool because honestly, here's the fun part. There have actually been a couple of Superman origins, to bring this hashtag full circle, that have dealt with that. In fact, what's really cool is that Talata and I just finished my adventure with Superman, and they kind of implied that in this continuity, Superman was sent to Earth as an advanced scout to take over, for the Kryptonians to take over. And in fact, in the Flashpoint origin of Superman, you learn this in Flashpoint Beyond, is he was sent as an advanced scout to prepare the way for a Kryptonian invasion. You also have Invincible also that kind of had that little undertone. So I really that wasn't an undertone in Invincible. That was just straight out story plot line. Yeah, it was a very important plot line, which I really enjoyed. But I love how the show did real brief aside on Invincible. I like how the show did the reveal that Omni-Man is evil more than the comics, because in this, the very fact that at the end of the first episode he kills the Justice League, essentially, it leaves you more with the whole what is going on thing, as opposed to like it happening near the end of the first volume. Yeah, so basically what they do is it's basically kind of, it's a Hitchcockian technique. It's called bomb under the table. It's where you have a story where there's a bomb under the table. You know the bomb's there, and you know like the bomb can explode at any moment. So the tension comes not from knowing that the bomb is under the table, but knowing that the bomb could explode at any minute. And it's honestly a really effective way of storytelling, and I part of me wants it to use more, but I know it's going to get done to death. So, like, yeah, it's weird. Why, did you know that DC actually did Iron Giant comics?
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to find a list of the comics that were in the Iron Giant because Hogarth references like the Shadow, and then he finally gets to Superman, and I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And if you notice, yeah, going back to that, this whole the other theme of this movie is the whole thing about alien invasions, which goes on to the Red Scare. Because, and by Mercenary says, I can only imagine what the Iron Giant would do if he met Superman. The Iron Giant fanboying over his hero in genuine, wholesome fashion. Yeah, I would love that.
Oh my God.
You'd probably go Superman.
Like, Superman would probably really enjoy meeting him, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he would, because he's like, oh, wait, are you a Kryptonian robot? Oh. But
that would actually, if I was writing an Iron Giant story in the DC universe, that's actually what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would actually have the Iron Giant be a Kryptonian robot.
That would also be really cool. Or he could be a Brainiac drone that when he crashed, like, it messed up Brainiac's programming, so he's more able to like have free will and choose to be a hero.
That could also work too.
Mm-hmm. That could also work. But the other thing, so there is that. The other thing that I really enjoy is like Hogarth watching like old alien invasion movies, which is kind of which is kind of like foreshadowing or not, and so it's kind of showing you that the theme of like invasion and like the body snatchers and all that stuff, because he's watching one of those movies on the TV when he's not supposed to. Because, well, let me put it this way, when we were younger, we all didn't obey the whole "don't watch TV while your parents are away" rule, right? That was just a standard thing.
No, like, we don't want you reading after dark, so we turn off all the lights except for the kitchen light. Me, like, literally laying next to the doorway of the kitchen reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, we always used to disobey that rule. I also really liked the animation of this, because the Iron Giant is like 3D, but they have him interacting with 2D animation. I love when they blend those two together. They did this a little bit with Titan AE.
Oh, we need to cover
which
Titan
we
AE
will
sometime.
be talking about that for movie night. I'm making an executive decision. We can't do it for the next 2 months, but we will eventually cover that.
Ooh, we're about to become some cosmic castaways.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. But Nick, so
just to make sure you're not in over your head.
Yeah, tell me more about why you like the Iron Giant.
Well, it's just the like the robot himself is just so wholesome. I mean, he's for all intents and purposes a dog. Let's be honest. He's a very big, very metal dog. Metal dog, kind of thing. But like we were going to touch upon earlier, it touches upon the politics, but I think it does it with a very deft hand. Like, obviously, there's kind of some shades of gun control there, but we're not going to get into like stuff like that. But
the one thing I will say, the way this movie does it, they actually take a pretty neutral stance. Here's what I mean by that: because the robot's still a weapon, but depending on his usage, he saves people.
It's almost like, and this is the farthest I'll go with the topic. It's not the gun that we should worry about; it's a person using it.
And this is how you do politics. You give both sides of the thing. Let the person have their own thing.
And that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
As far as we're going with that. That's as far as we're going with that.
I probably should have gone that far, but it's like I'm just going to,
I didn't like Titan AE, mostly naming the new Earth planet Bob. That was a joke. They called it Earth.
You do realize that was a Joss Whedon line, right?
Why is it that all the stupidest lines in shows are written by that man? And by the way, Nick, how could you wait? Why
did you say that name?
All right. Also, like, the toad getting struck by lightning line?
Yeah.
That's the Joss Whedon line too.
Okay, Nick, this is gonna get copyright strike.
Why did you say that name?
Stop it! There's a reason why I banned He Who Must Not Be Named's name from this channel.
Guys, should I tell him about the work he did on Toy Story?
No, you should not. You definitely should not. I really hate that guy. Me too. Well, strongly dislike. I don't really hate anyone.
I like Buffy. Like I like Buffy and Firefly. I will defend. Beyond that, no.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers is good. Avengers is good.
Avengers 1 is good. The rest of it, no.
Ultron is a bit of a mixed bag.
Ultron is the biggest, like,
I will maintain, like, while Ultron is not a good movie, there's still some things to like about it.
There's still some good things, but it's hidden in a lot of fecal matter, in other words.
Neither was Omaha Beach. Pass it over. Excelsior. That was, I'm sorry, that is one of my favorite Stanley cameos.
That was a good Stanley cameo, I'll give you that. But the Hulk ending up with Black Widow falling into her boobs, I'm like, stop it, Joss Whedon. I love all the DC directors were like, yeah, that's not canon.
If you ever like make a joke about that in your book, you need to have Athena say, "Oh, if they ever try that in my movie, I'm using a body double."
But anyway, continuing on, we got to continue on with this movie.
I know.
Basically, the robot crashes. Here's the plot: the robot crashes, and the way they do it up until they actually reveal the robot, it's kind of like one of those alien invasion movies where like they don't show anything; they just have this situation, tell the story. A lot of power outages, eat and steal.
Do.
Yeah, exactly. And then I like the reveal with like Hogarth, or like he's like he has a little BB gun. He walks out. He sees like all the carnage, and then all of a sudden you see behind him two lights from like the robot's eyes.
It's so good. It's so good.
They do it so well.
Yes, they do.
It's really hot in here. But real quick, I will be right back. But Nick, tell us more about Iron Giant.
All right. So Jared's away. So I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna say Wonder Bat because we have a treaty. But yeah. So one thing I really like about these scenes, it's set during autumn, and I think it's really beautiful. Kind of like just the different oranges and the reds. I really kind of feel like help kind of make like a bit of a cozy atmosphere with this. Also, Wonder Bat. I just kidding. But yeah, and
that's for mentioning that name.
I didn't realize you would be back so quickly.
Don't make me play your joke intro. My mouse is hovering over it right now. Do not test me.
Super Wonder.
I love how I have something on you now. But in the meantime, yeah, go on about the autumn.
I'm sorry, I lost track when I got booted from the show.
You were talking about how this movie is like takes place in autumn and the way the overall look of the film.
Yeah, it creates like kind of like a cozy atmosphere and whatnot, and yeah, like I don't know, like it's a film that like while set in the 50s, like a lot of stuff you see in modern media, like oh it's set in the 50s, yet they like you know you see in a lot of things like oh it's set in the 1930s, yet they talk like people from the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get that here, but like I feel like they still somewhat act like in the 50s, like it doesn't feel too out of place.
Hey, what's up, kid? K-pop.
Hey, K-pop. That's a good friend of mine right there. We're doing Iron Giant. So if any of you guys have any comments about the movies, any questions, we are more than welcome to hear you talk about it.
Put in the chat. We would love to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So Jared, what did you think of Vin Diesel's performance as the Iron Giant?
It's amazing how he's actually a really fantastic. He communicates a lot of that childish like wonder, because again the robot's essentially a child at this point, a child like a puppy or something like that, and for someone with a really deep voice, I could 100% buy him voicing a very innocent individual.
Yeah, I feel like his voice acting skills are heavily underrated. Like, did you know that when he did Groot, he actually dubbed Groot in like 35 different languages? I mean, just saying 3 words, but still the dedication. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, because like the thing about Groot is, yes, he's saying the 3 words, but it's the inflection. Like, I am Groot. I am Groot.
Yo soy Groot.
Yeah, it's the inflection is really where you get things going there, and I feel like Vin Diesel did a really good job with that because like that's not really something that like many people could pick up on.
No, it's actually really hard to do. I also really enjoyed like, well, we mentioned about the voice cast, how it's stacked and everything, and one of the things I really like, by the way, I like those stories where like the alien becomes like the surrogate best friend of the kid that's constantly picked on because comic book fans, we all well familiar with that.
This is where the boy and the dog tropes kind of come in.
And it's kind of like, actually, when you think about it, a lot of people, when they talk about Superman, talk about how he's but like a surrogate friend for them. And this robot is actually a really, that's why, again, this whole story is tributing Superman like to a T.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Buffett died last night, apparently.
Yes. It will always be 5 o'clock somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Nick, what did you think about all the like very clear Superman allegories in this movie?
I thought it was really good. Like the moment when he put on the thing and like he did the thing, you kind of actually. What I love is at that moment you can kind of hear hints of the John Williams theme kind of start to come in. Like they don't go right out and play it, which I think playing it might have been a bit tacky, but like just them hinting at it was really great. And I love how literally his last words as he's going up and he does like, it says Superman. Like I love it. And it's just such a great bookend. He goes from a gun to Superman.
Which in a way, Superman is the gun, or CBVS. And but yeah, that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about again, they homage so much about Superman, and it's done in a way, like you said, it's not tacky whatsoever, because they could have easily just gone dun 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 and then just do that, or like it's just the S. They didn't even give him a ginormous cape too. They just go with the S because that's subtle enough. I also like Dean's character because he basically takes credit for the Iron Giant's art. He's like, no, that's mine. That's mine. I totally did that. That's actually really cool. I did that.
Yeah, like I feel like the villain was really good. I mean, he's kind of like there's no depth to his character. He's just like I'm an a-hole like agent of the government kind of thing. But I feel like for this story, I think he was perfect for what it was. Probably my favorite moment of his is towards the end when like the military's there and they're like, should we launch a nuke? Should we launch a nuke? And he's like, fire it! And then like he tries to flee, like, screw this. Like and like they all box him in. It's like a good soldier follows orders.
Good soldier follows orders.
It's like if we're gonna die for our country, you sure as hell will too, son. Like I love that moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how like one of my favorite scenes is when he's like in the woods trying to investigate. He gets out of his car. Then when he goes back to his car, half the car has been bitten out of the car, and he hasn't noticed that. He puts in his key, and he's like, "What?" I love that. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
This movie is so metal. It is so metal.
It's so metal. My number one favorite part is when Hogarth brings in the comic books into this thing, and he's going over, oh, here are all the different heroes you could be, essentially. And he goes, Superman. He's from another planet.
All right, start talking. I want to kind of look up like what comics are in. I'm going to Google that.
Yeah, I was trying to find that, but for some reason it's really tough to find. But anyway, yeah, another one of my favorite parts is when the Giant's trying to reassemble himself, and the hand is trying to go through the house, and then Hogarth is trying to sneak the hand away from the mother, and he's like, no, I've just been going to pee. That's definitely what I've been doing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot. And what's interesting about this movie, when you look at the budget, was $50 million, but it actually only made $31 million. So it didn't exactly make back its budget. It's probably because I do believe that this was released in theaters, correct?
Yes, it was. It was in 1999. Like late 90s, early 2000s was a really really weird time for animation because you're right at the I think you're right at the tail end of the Disney Renaissance. Like Disney still has a few good movies left in like the early 2000s, like Lilo and Stitch, Atlantis, whatnot. But they're kind of going into their awkward years. And like the other studios have had mixed success. Like Fox has had some stuff with their Dawn Blue things. Like this is the same year Tiny E comes out. You got to remember that. So animation is kind of in a weird place in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like you still get some iconic stuff, but like by the mid 2000s, CG is pretty much start like Shrek. Shrek was kind of the tipping point. Shrek was basically it's the dividing line between traditional animation and CG animation. Because after Shrek, everything basically went CG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could definitely detect that. By the way, fun fact: Hogarth Hughes is named after Ted Hughes, the guy who wrote the book that inspired the movie. And artist Bern Hogarth.
That's really beautiful, honestly.
Yeah, that is. So, did you find anything about the about the comics? Because I'm trying to find that as well, because I'd be very interested. I know the spirit is referenced as well.
Well, we could probably tell like at least the like it might not be like specific issues, but we could probably suss out like the characters.
In which case, I know it's this. Oh, okay, here we go. Did anyone? Okay, so I think I found it. It's on a Reddit forum. Okay, so he's got Action Comics. I'm trying to find the actual. It's Action Comics 188.
All right. I'm going to look up Action Comics. So yeah.
I'm going to drop in the private chat. Here's the specific Superman issue that Hogarth is holding up. It's called the Spectral Superman.
Yep, and then that's from 1954. So yep. Okay. Yeah, like that does look familiar. Oh yeah. Like here's an image from the movie of Hogarth literally holding it up, and yeah, that is the issue. Let me just download it real quick, and then I'll share my screen.
Yeah, right. We're gonna while we wait for Nick. So he also references a bunch of other stuff, but he really goes on to Superman because and when you think about it, again, this is going back to the theme of the movie where he goes, oh yeah, this is Superman. He has all these great powers / weapons, but he only uses them for good. Yeah, you see right there. It's a little blurry, but that's.
I mean, it's very, very clear. You can make it out, and then yeah.
I like how they actually use actual comics because they could have easily just made a Superman comic cover and just plastered it on.
To be fair,
it is done by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is a Warner Brothers thing. So like they were they didn't have to clear any legal like there was no legal hurdles to do this. So I think that's why they can do that. Like that's why like on Assault on Arkham, like Harley's watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon because Warner Brothers, they can like like Bugs Bunny. Oh,
or like in New Frontier when John Jones is watching TV and he morphs into Bugs Bunny.
That too because it's Warner Brothers. Like what? Hi Hand, can I do Bugs? Yes, Nick, you can use Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is that I like how they actually went the effort. It's not necessarily the legal things. They could have easily gone the lazy route and said, you know what, let's just make up a Superman cover. But no, they decided, no, we have the ability to do it. Let's use an actual cover.
Yeah, what I really like it is legitimately a comic that Hogarth would have. Like for example, let's say you use Action Comics on #1 from 1938. In 1954, that is a 16-year-old comic. Like, sure, he might have it, but probably not. But like from 54,
yeah.
Like I don't know exactly when this movie takes place, but it's supposed to take place in the 50s. So a comic from 54, yeah, it's very much possible that he would have that comic.
Someone said on Reddit it takes place in 1957. So yeah, and the comic came out in 54. So yeah, it's entirely believable that he would have this issue of Action.
Yeah, 3-year-old comic. Yeah, Like he could have gotten it in like a penny bin or something.
He could
Or
have
he could
gotten
have had
it when it came out because it would have been 3 years prior.
that too. So there's a bunch of legitimate reasons why he could have that, you know.
Again, that's another reason why I love this movie. They went the extra effort. They went so detailed to the point where they're like, no, let's make it an actual issue that would have come out at that time. And I appreciate when creatives go the extra mile, because particularly nowadays, and Nick, you can tell me if you disagree on this. Too many times creatives take the easy way out. They take the lazy route out. The people making this movie clearly did not want to be lazy. They went the extra mile. It's very Zack Snyder-y.
Like, you want to talk about taking the lazy way out? Like, here's the story taking the lazy way out. So that 90s show on Netflix, which is a sequel to that 70s show, takes place, well, in the 90s, all right?
Really? I didn't know that.
I know, it's such a weird thing. So there's a scene where they're at like a gas station convenience store, and they walk past a row of potato chips. It is all modern Doritos, like stuff you could literally go and buy now. Like, it's all like all modern bags, like all the designs and everything. Like, that is lazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, it take effort to create like designs and but like, come on, couldn't you like work with Doritos and create like a 90s throwback? Like, come on, Doritos. I'm sure Doritos would be all for that.
Mm-hmm. It's a marketing thing, but again, this a 100% worthwhile. And I also think that this is the comic nerd in me. The comics were also animated really well. They weren't stiff. They actually felt like he was interacting with them and stuff.
Could you please make the Iron Giant gray and animated?
Oh my gosh! Thank you. That's awesome.
But like, one of the craziest things is going back and watching this movie. Hogarth is strapped. Like, that dude is packing heat. Like the fact that he has, and the gun, like he has like the BB gun, with his name carved into the stock. Like, you would never see that today. Like, a kid with a BB gun like that.
Nowadays, there'd probably be an airsoft gun. It would look a little more like an actual military rifle.
Yeah, but like a BB gun actually shoots projectiles, and it hurts.
Yeah, so it's an airsoft gun. But yeah, and I also love going back to the comic scene real quick. I also want to bring up like the Spirit characters that, again, going back to this, characters that were prevalent in that time period.
Yeah, the 50s, if you kind of look at it, it's kind of like a black hole of comic history. Like, if you always look at like the comic book history retrospect, it's like comic books happened in the 30s, Golden Age, 60s, Marvel. It's like they completely skipped the 50s for comic. Like, they'll be like, oh, EC Comics did some things, a book was released, comics crashed, but hey, the 60s. Like, it's just really weird. Like, you ever look at those documentaries, how they kind of gloss over the 50s?
Yeah, there should be more general comics documentaries instead of like DC or Marvel that go over like everything like that with like the Spirit and all these characters that have been lost to time. Because I think you could do a pretty badass Spirit movie nowadays and bring that character out of obscurity.
Jared,
they did. I know, but I'm just saying, modernize it.
The Spirit movie actually wasn't too bad. Like, it was.
I'll try. Well, it's definitely going to be a movie night movie at some point. We have that in the docket, so we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
But so by the way, in the chat, for those of you watching, comment your favorite scenes from the Iron Giant. Nick, what are some of your favorite moments from the movie?
I talked about the ending one where like they box in the guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like one that kind of sticks out for me is like, oh, what kind of name is Hogarth? And then he looks down and he has the headstock with a like Hogarth on it. It's just like, it's just kind of like an easy scene, but like, yeah, like I could totally like, yeah, that. Mm-hmm. Also like no, you don't, like, you have I can't remember the exact, like, you have a choice to make, now choose, you know, like, you don't have to be a gun. Also, I gotta say, like, the ending of it where it's like, oh, this is the biggest piece we could find, and then you hear like deep, deep, which yeah, I am just about certain that beep was inspired by the Sputnik beep.
Yeah,
like I don't know if you've heard like the Sputnik beep from the 50s. It kind of had like that beep, beep. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what they were going off of. And
By the
because,
way,
like, you know how
here's my screen, and we'll look at some brief scenes. I'll make this brief, so I may not get copyrighted. It was a Savage Gerbil, but Vin Diesel's best is Boiler Room. Okay, but I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
But yeah, so like earlier in the movie, we see the Iron Giant can easily reassemble himself. Like obviously, his body is made up of like some sort of alien metal that's probably indestructible. And what I love is the ending is like one of those classic like, well, he could reappear, but he could not. You know, like I love those. I love those endings. Where like they leave like it's conclusive, but they leave it open to where like, hey, we could do a sequel. But if we don't, we at least ended the story.
That would be really cool if they did a sequel to this, but actually brought in Superman.
The other thing I'd kind of like to bring up is I really don't like his portrayal in Ready Player One.
Really?
Like,
oh yeah, because he's kind of just there. He's kind of useless.
Well, it's more to it than that, but partially yes. So obviously he has no personality. He's basically a Gundam. Funny I say that.
By the way,
really,
so
what it is?
Here's
the whole point.
Okay, go ahead.
So like the whole point of actually just play this scene, then we can then go ahead.
You are who you choose to be.
Superman.
I love that. I just love how he closes his eyes.
There you go. Yeah, I love that. It kind of humanizes him. But go on.
But yeah, so like it's all about like he's not supposed to be a war robot. He's not supposed to be a thing made for destruction. And what is he in Ready Player One? A thing made for destruction. And it's just completely misses the point of the book, the point of the movie. I mean, it's Ready Player One. You really think they care about the stuff they're referencing? Like, come on.
To a degree, I think they're just doing it to like go, oh wow, look, it's that. That's one of my problems with a lot of fandom movies, because what they do is, all right, they use Easter eggs to deflect a weak plot. In other words, what they do is I call it Easter egg armor. And what they do is they go, oh, the nerds won't care because they'll just be like, oh my gosh, did you see when they referenced this? Did you see when they referenced this? That's why my problem with a lot of Superman content is that as long as it brings up like references to the comics, yeah, as long as they bring up like other stuff, they won't criticize bad plots. They'll be like, oh, this is the best portrayal of Superman. Why? Because it had all these Easter eggs. Okay.
Yeah, like Ready Player One has that problem. Like I said, Across the Spider-Verse is really bad at this. Like they'll just throw like anything at the wall. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, let me put it this way: it was still fun seeing like Halo Spartan show up, but it was the Halo 4 design, so I'm like, okay.
I mean, the licensing deal were made. Like, was Halo 5 out when that game, you know?
Well, it's the Halo 4 5 designs. It wasn't the Halo 3 designs that everyone cared about.
I mean, because it's probably licensing deals. Like, So.
Yeah, could be. So I'm like, oh, okay. But all in all, this is one of the best animated projects I think Warner Brothers has ever made. And I keep saying this, but I'm going to reiterate it. It's a really fun depiction of Superman. Because when you think about it, even though it's not a Superman movie, it is a Superman movie. Like they are.
Yes.
This is legit a Superman story, but with a character not Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I like when creatives can tell stories about these characters without using those characters, because that takes talent.
Yeah, it does.
So now, as we continue this, let me ask you this: how would you do an Iron Giant game?
Oh, that is difficult.
Would you basically adapt the movie?
It's really hard because games are centered around like conflict and whatnot, and I'm not gonna just have them beating up on
True.
people.
Mhm.
Actually, here's what I would do. All right, I would do a Telltale style game.
Oh,
Okay.
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, like the Telltale
Mm-hmm.
games, and it's like Hogarth is like basically you're telling me events in the movie, but a little more interactive. And Hogarth is like still the central character. You expand the spawns and stuff. Basically just do Telltale because that's the best thing they can come up with on the spot.
Because you could actually have it where one of the endings is the robot destroys all of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is honestly the best way because you don't want to go the Ready Player One thing where you turn into an action shooter and he's basically a destruction thing. So I can definitely tell that.
Yeah, specifically because this movie has a very clear like anti-violence, anti-war kind of stance that like I can't in good conscience do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the deleted scene that shows like the Iron Giants like destroying. Bring that up because
like for
referenced earlier.
example, if I were to do Titan AE, I could very easily make an Uncharted style game with
Oh
Titan
yeah,
AE.
100%. That would 100. That's 100% a great.
Like imagine Jedi Fallen Order, but like with Titan AE.
It'd be the same story too. I would also make it as close to the animation style as possible. In other words, cell shaded and everything. I would make it like hyper real. Exactly. I wish more games would go in the cell shaded route, particularly if they're based on like animation or comic books, because then you evoke that feeling. By the way, here's the deleted scene that shows the Iron Giant's origin. I'm just gonna skip to there. Hang on. Hang on. All right, here we go.
You don't even know where he came from or what the hell he is.
Guess you're not gonna help me.
Also, I love how the late night host is clearly Johnny Carson.
Yeah. Because again, they did the research on what was going on at the time. Fallen Order felt a lot like Titan AE. Yeah, it was very, very. I kind of wonder if that was an inspiration behind Fallen Order, if that was just an unintended like parallel.
But yeah, like imagine a Titan AE game in the style of Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yes, they could definitely do that. And it's basically just the story of the movie straight up, or
basically
Mass Effect.
Basically, my version of Titan AE would be a level based or like the structure of Titan AE, but like it's basically a third person shooter,
like Mass Effect.
Not quite,
except
but like
without like the choice thing.
I would have like the shooting be more kind of like Resident Evil 2 style kind of thing, like that feel. But like with the open worlds and like you kind of have the planets you can explore and like the puzzles. I think that'd be really great.
So you would essentially use the shooting mechanics of Resident Evil, but with the exploration factor of like maybe No Man's Sky or something like that, or the peak sci-fi game Starfield.
I would use the exploration of Jedi Fallen Order, where it's like you have your ship, you land on a planet, you do your thing, and like sometimes you unlock more stuff, and then you get in your ship and go to the next planet. Like that's what I would do.
I would also bring in the Mass Effect mechanic of a party, so you can like have like Corso and Akima come with you on your adventures. That way it's not just Cahill doing stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. And then
each of them has a lot of Mass Effect was probably inspired by Titan AE.
And then like each of them has a different skill set. Like Goon can like hack into devices. Then like Corso can use like bigger guns, kind of thing.
Who was the two-legged girl who was the big weapons expert, the alien?
I can't remember. I just know she was voiced by Janine Garofalo.
You know what I'm talking about, right? She could be the one that
she's a mechanic.
Like, all the guns.
She's a mechanic.
Okay, that works. And then you could have like Akima as more stealth.
Yeah.
And then Kale's like mini map is like he projects like the map to the Titan on like a wall or something like that.
Also, like in this game, there's going to be a line where someone says, "Akima, phone home."
Yeah, exactly.
You get the depth of the joke,
No,
right?
Of course.
Do you know who voiced Akima, right?
Yeah. Drew
Okay.
Barrymore.
Who
was also
in
in
ET.
ET. There you go. That works. And by the way, Savage Gerbil asks, you guys see Heavy Metal 2000? No, I haven't.
I haven't. We might need to look into that.
I need to look into that. But yeah, this one, and again, I would keep the 100% keep the animation style and everything with this, or like Iron Giant, because again, I want to reiterate this. I think it's a crutch now that too many games focus on making hyper realistic characters like superhero games or this
hyper realistic art that is outdated in 6 months.
Yeah, because the thing about doing cell shaded stuff, it is timeless. You could still play it, and as long as the animation is good and fluid, you don't have to worry about it getting out of
Jared,
touch.
Do me a favor. Go to YouTube and look up gameplay Jet Grind Radio Dreamcast.
Okay, I'll check that out right now. It's called Jet what?
Jet Grind Radio for the Sega Dreamcast.
Radio Dream.
Specifically that version.
Sega Dreamcast. Hang on. Okay. I'm going to share screen. I'm not going to have audio on for obvious reasons, but I'll share screen.
Yeah. That's smart.
All right. So let's see this.
Yeah, fast forward a little bit. All right. Yep, we're good. Look at that.
It actually doesn't look that bad.
This game came out in the year 2000. This looks like a game that could come out today.
I mean, look at that book, that game. Sorry. What was that rhythm game that was like very cartoony that came out like last year or something like that?
I know what you're talking about. But I can't remember. Yeah, that game was very Jet Grind Radio inspired.
Yeah, it looks like that, and you could have these visuals. Plus, when you think about it, it's also cheaper, so you can devote the resources to other things.
Jared, like, admit it. If that game came out, like, that game could come out today, and people would still be praising the graphics.
And it's on the Sega Dreamcast, which is a very old-ass console, and it looks that good. Yeah.
See, like, I could have brought up Wind Waker, which is also cel-shaded, but that was for the GameCube. That was a much more powerful system that came out in 2003, like a few years later. So, like, that's why I share Jet Grind Radio for maximum impact.
Yeah, and it's like, that's another reason why, like, games like Crackdown are so timeless, because, again, they lean into cartoony details, and that's why it's the same thing. You could read a bunch of old comic books and still be like, okay, this is cool and stuff. And I'm like,
Speaking, also Savage Gerbil, yes, the Dreamcast punch way above its weight. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, oh, check out a video I did with Caster that I released last Thursday about the Sega Dreamcast. Plug. But anyway, but yeah, like, there's a lot of, like, this is why, like, No Man's Sky is like, the graphics still look good today. No Man's Sky didn't go for, like, the cell shading, but they still went for, like, a cartoony look. Like, it went for, like, an slightly exaggerated, like, it still looks slightly, like, it doesn't look, like, hyper-realistic. Like, it looks kind of realistic, but it's, like, a tad exaggerated.
It's in that sweet spot where it'll age very well.
It's going to age like fine wine. Meanwhile, Starfield looks like a 2015 game.
Yeah, I immediately think of Coastal Maine, but probably when we talk about the Iron Giant, which, yeah, that 100% works.
Now I'm wondering if Stephen King wrote this movie.
Yeah, that's true. But that's why, again, I wonder if with the DCU, if they're going to do a lot of cell shaded games, because, again, I emphasize this a lot. It's cheaper, so you can devote stuff. You can, like, put those resources that you would do on making like hyper realistic characters to like improving gameplay, improving story,
Okay.
improving sound.
Okay, imagine. Okay, Jared, I'm gonna pitch you a game. Okay.
Okay.
Imagine a game by Rocksteady. Okay. And it is a Superman game in the style of Insomniac Spider-Man, where you can fly around Metropolis, and it's like the full Metropolis, but it's cell shaded.
I'd be fine with that. I mean, look at that. Wait. Remember that Ultimate Spider-Man game, which is also cell shaded, and it works fine.
Like, I just think a Superman game in the style of Spider-Man would work amazing. And if you cell shade it, like, imagine like the villains you could use. Like, cell shading, I think, actually work really well the Superman game, because then you can use some exaggerated designs for like a Brainiac design works a lot better.
Parasite. You could turn Parasite into a kaiju, like they did in My Adventure with Superman.
But yeah, like a lot of the Superman villains work better in a cartoony form, because, like, I'm sorry, the Injustice Brainiac, it works, but it just like
a lot of DC characters would be served better. Green Lantern, dude.
Oh,
because that way you can still have fully destructible environments, but it'll be cheaper to do.
Okay, here's my pitch for a Green Lantern game. It's basically No Man's Sky, but with Green Lantern. And so certain planets are handmade, but a lot of it is procedurally generated. Okay. So, like, let's say you go to Earth, like Earth is Earth. You can go to certain places, but like most of the planets are procedurally generated, and you're patrolling like your rings, like, all right, we have here, and you're just going to Green Lantern sector, like Hal's sector of like Earth, like the sector that Earth's in. So you limit it to that sector, and like sure you can go to Oa, but like that's like, oh, you got to warp there, and certain things you got to warp there, But like the open section is Green Lantern's area.
My pitch would be kind of like that, but add in like the squad-based mechanic of Mass Effect. You can have like Hal, Baz, Raynor, and of course, one of the greatest of them all, Jessica Cruz, teaming up on a mission. Then you can swap out individual lanterns. Then you can add in the Paragon Renegade mechanic to that. If you go full Renegade, you become a Red Lantern. Dean and Gambit are some of the hottest Sun cartoon characters. Okay.
I mean, one of Gambit's powers is literally being attractive. So
yeah. There you go. Mon ami. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was just trying to, phrase
Master right. Sergeant, what's up? What's up, peeps? It says a lot when an actor's best performance is when his entire contribution is as limited a voice as possible. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, that's the thing about Vin Diesel is he has a bit of a limited range, but if you can get him within that pocket, he actually like that's why I think Fast and Furious works for him, because if you look at it's not so much now, but like in those early ones, like that speech he does about his dad in the first movie is honestly heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a good voice actor. Like
he is pretty good.
Yeah.
I just thought of another way you could do an Iron Giant game. You could do it as a traditional game where you're playing as Iron Giant, but it penalizes your score whenever you fight.
By the way, I got to pitch you a game. Riddick versus Street Sharks.
I haven't played or am familiar with any of those IPs, so I don't really know.
Okay, there's a lot of people who are getting my joke right now. Vin Diesel actually did a commercial promo for the Street Sharks back in 93.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
That's the joke.
I see. I got a game for you. Zack Snyder versus Warner Brothers.
Dweeb.
Mm-hmm. By the way, there's going to be a series coming out. I forget which streaming service, called The Franchise or something like that. It's about these people trying to get a superhero franchise off the ground, but they keep running into obstacles. It's essentially the DCU, the DCEU development, but as a series, like The Office. That'd be so funny.
And then Zack Snyder makes a cameo as himself.
He does. yes, he needs to, like, they're interviewing different directors, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I think your universe is unsalvageable."
Oh, no. No, it's like, and then like they muck it up, and like he comes in and says, "I'm sorry, I don't think you can restore this universe."
That would work. I like that one.
No. Oh my god, like how creepy, like oh, okay, okay. Imagine a bizarro world, all right, where people are trying to hashtag restore the Whedonverse, and then Zack Snyder says, no, you can't restore there is no restoring the Whedonverse.
Yeah, exactly. Daily Murphy says, I don't dislike Vin Diesel, but I've always thought he was or is overly generic.
He can be at times. He can be, for
He
sure.
can be. He can be, but there are certain performances that he really excels in. Ironically, again, it's when he has limited dialogue.
Like, that's why I think Riddick actually works well for him, because I would actually say Vin Diesel is kind of a lot like Keanu Reeves in that while their vocal performances aren't the best, they're really good at emoting and physical acting. Like Vin Diesel is a good physical actor. When it comes to like how he moves, you know, and like the acting stuff, he's actually really good. And Keanu Reeves is the same way. And Vin Diesel, when he trains, he does dedicate himself. So so I feel like Keanu Reeves and Vin Diesel are very similar in that regard.
It is. And yeah, in that same way, except Keanu Reeves has kind of had a big like renaissance in what he does, thanks to like John Wick and to a certain degree Matrix 4.
Well, that's kind of the thing about Keanu Reeves is even before his resurgence in the 2010s, he was already part of like a bunch of iconic franchises. Plus, he had a really good run in the 90s. Like, just imagine, like going into 2010, like let's say 2009, he had been in Point Break, Speed, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm trying to think here. Obviously, Bill and Ted, The Matrix. So like these are like 6 iconic movies. Okay, like these are iconic movies. You know what I'm saying? And so like he already had a really good run. So but Vin Diesel, while like obviously he's part of Fast and Furious, Vin Diesel never really had that. Because I think Keanu Reeves is probably a better actor overall, but like, but
I love I love the joke that that Honest Trailer does whenever they do the Fast and the Furious movies, is that they go watch Vin Diesel become less easy to understand.
Family.
I'm sorry,
one of these days, like when I get like all buff and ripped, I'm actually gonna like for one Halloween, I'm just gonna be Vin Diesel, like wear a bald cap, wear the shades, and all night the only thing I'm gonna say is family.
You could be Dominic Toretto.
I know I'm gonna be Vin Diesel. Just say family.
The family. So as we were saying, moving on.
Oh, that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you before that you were saying about Keanu Reeves and Vin Diesel. Okay. Dade says never liked Riddick, was too old for Iron Giant, and Fast and the Furious is boring me. So Groot is really the only funny thing Vin Diesel has done, but anyone could be Groot.
I am Groot.
We are Groot. No, he said at the end of Guardians.
I am Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I love that moment. I love that. I love that.
I also love when Thor goes to Captain America. I see you've copied my beard.
Oh, by the way, that movie has my favorite Groot moment where it's like he's all like checked out, but then he sees Thor struggling, and then like he does his like that and like chops it off. Like he has that heroic moment. That is my favorite Groot moment.
My favorite is when he's playing on his little Game Boy and Star-Lord goes, "Put that way, it's gonna rot your brain." And he goes, "I am Groot." And then Star-Lord goes, "Whoa, look at the acorns on you." Nick is Groot.
I am Groot.
That's good. I like that. So if we ever do a Guardians of the Galaxy audio drama, Nick is playing Groot. He only has 3 words. He only has 1 line.
I am Groot.
I am Groot. I am Groot.
Oh,
There was did you see the how it should have ended Guardians of the Galaxy where he goes back and forth on Batman, Groot going, I am Groot, and Batman going, I'm Batman. I am
And
Groot,
then
I'm Batman.
And then you see the TARDIS and he's like, I am the Doctor.
Yes, exactly. That'd be hilarious.
By the way, there's a meme that I'm going to share with you after we're done here that I think you're going to find hilarious.
Hell yeah. So let's wrap this up and going on. This was a fantastic movie. I very much enjoyed it. And
Yes.
I think that this is a property that Warner Brothers could explore more in terms of, there have been some limited comics, but I think more the comics and stuff.
I'm
and then
fine
maybe,
with like comics and novels, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I kind of don't want another movie because this movie is kind of lightning in a bottle, and I just don't think they could do it right, especially with the modern like creators. Like if Brad Bird is doing it, like I'll at least give it a chance, but beyond that, I'm sorry.
No, I mean
man.
more on the comic side, because you don't have, because again, do it that way. Don't necessarily do movies, because I do agree with you, Nick. They would probably screw it up, and yeah, because there's so much potential with this IP that they could really play around with that. And Dade is summarizing that joke right there. I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And so on that note, we're going to wrap this up. Next week's movie is going to be Alita Battle Angel. Snyder Queen will be joining us to discuss one of the best anime adaptations ever.
Like
literally ever. Unfortunately, the bar is not that high, but this just set the bar
literally. Okay, so you want to know how the bar is? Only 2 films has ever cleared the, okay, this is a good American adaptation. This one and Speed Racer, which we need to cover at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, really? Not Dragon Ball?
Boot him. Boot that sucker. Sorry.
Or wait, how about Avatar that actually has the correct pronunciation of the names? Better heard than me. Nick just left. Nick left. That's funny. So, in terms of Comics League, what we got coming out, you can find us at Comics League 2021, all that stuff. Yes, thank you, Taladia. And we're going to just, in terms of what's coming out in Comics League, in a little bit on Nick's channel is the Spider-Man stream where I critique his horrible Spider-Man gameplay. And then in terms of Super Wonder Legacy, Britt and I are going to rewrite certain stories to be more Super Wonder oriented. In other words, we're going to make them better. Comics League Indie Wednesday, I'm thinking about, I'm going to have a creator on to talk about their book. And then next Friday, Under Two Capes is going to be discussing what other, DC characters we think could fit in the Christopher Reeve Superman universe. And then again, next week is I like the live streaming, but I'm never really asked. Okay, go on. Yeah, there you go. I knew you were coming back, but
why you gotta play me like that, bro? Why?
Because I love Starfield. So on that, so I brought up what's coming out with Comics League. Nick, where can we find you, and what have you got coming out?
Well, funny you should say that. So in about an hour, I will be streaming Spider-Man. Jared is going to drive me insane. He spins his webs all around my head, and then I try to not fall on my A.
And Nick falls on his A anyway.
You're lucky you're my friend. I'm serious.
There you go.
So anyway, I'll be streaming live on my channel at 8 p.m. So it's about an hour from now, and then I'll be getting to that. So Monday is Rewatch, and then Wednesday we're launching Comic Spots, where we'll be reviewing Nightwing #1 with a cameo by the writer Chuck Dixon. So that's pretty darn awesome. And then later that night at 6 p.m., I will be doing my 400 subscriber special, where I will be reading Sins Past, because that was a bet, and the bet was made, and I'm a man of my word. I will be doing the voices, and I will be doing the face, so I hope you all are grateful. And then
It's one more day, bro. It's just one more day.
why?
Because it's
Why?
awesome. That's why. But go on. I promise I won't interrupt you.
You're breaking me. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Okay, that was very, very well timed.
That was so good. I broke him.
You have broken me. You have broken me into a million pieces. I don't think I'll ever recover. I don't know why.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm gonna need a bigger budget for my therapy, because the therapy bills, they're gonna go through the roof because of you.
So what about the sins past? Let's tell you. You already told them about that. We already talked about your past sins.
Why? Just why, brother? Why?
So on that note, everyone, we'll just wrap it up now before
Please,
Nick
for the
goes
love
crazy.
for the love of Ditko, please just wrap it
For
up.
the love of Ditko. So on that note, stay at work, everyone, and we'll see you in the next movie night for Lita Battle Angel.